All right, guys, 2011 Honda CR-V. I'm going to do a measurement of the ride height before I replace the struts here in the back. So let's see what our current ride height is here. Sorry, I'm trying to do this and hold the camera at the same time. This will give us a good indication of what the Monroe quick struts are like, whether they're going to take us back to what the current ride height is. So it's almost 31 inches. So it's like 30 inches and, come on, focus. Here we go. 30 and 7/8 inches. So that's the current ride height with the blown out strut. All right, so let's go ahead and replace it and we'll see where we end up. So we'll just see, make sure I'm doing this right. Yeah, somewhere between 30 and 3/4 and 7/8. All right, let's do the other side. So this was the right side. So same thing, 30 inches and somewhere between 3/4 and 3/7. So hard to tell here. This is 30 inches and 3/4, but very close, within 1/8 of an inch on either side. All right, let's go ahead and replace these struts. All right, guys, here's the old strut. This is the Honda original strut. And so it's kind of hard to, well, actually you can see it really well there. So you see all of that wetness there? That's all the fluid that came out of the strut. It actually made a big mess on the garage floor. It dumped a bunch of fluid out of the strut, and then it's basically not working now. It's not doing any damping whatsoever. So when you hit a bump, it bounces back and forth pretty quickly. The spring is still working, so the spring is still supporting everything, but the shock that's inside this strut is not doing anything. So there's the Honda original part number. And let's see if we can see. It's kind of hard. Yeah, so it's the original Honda part. This vehicle has 124,000 miles on it. And we're gonna go ahead and replace it. Really simple, it's just one bolt down there and 2 bolts on the top. I probably will take the 2 bolts out of the front here on the front of the lower control arm. I'll take those 2 bolts out just to give me some extra space. But it's a really, really straightforward replacement. All right, so here's a comparison of the original Honda strut. This is the right rear strut off of the Honda CR-V, 2011 Honda CR-V. And then on the left-hand side here is the Monroe quick strut. And as you can tell, they look very, very similar. I would even venture to say that the coil spring looks beefier on the quick strut than it does on the Honda. Yeah, definitely from feeling it, this is definitely a thicker coil spring than the original Honda. So I'm not sure what that's going to do to ride height. We'll find out when I get them on. But definitely a beefier spring here on the Monroe quick strut versus the original Honda. Everything else looks very, very similar. I gotta say, for the money, the Monroe quick struts are amazing quality. When you're looking at quick struts, you want something where it's at least the original quality of the OEM strut. And so you can tell usually in these little plates here that they have, the base plate and then the plate at the top. And this plate is the same thickness as the one on the Honda. Just in general, the metal is all the same thickness. And then looking up here at the base, at the top, this is all quality steel. And it's almost an exact copy of the Honda. Almost makes you wonder if the OE manufacturer of this strut also made the strut for Monroe. Great thing about the Monroe, I'm not sure if you can see this here. Let's see if we can get this. And the reason I bought them, as you can see right there, made in the USA. So you don't really find that many things made in the USA, especially auto parts. And for the price, this was a really good deal. So I'm sure if you're looking at struts for your Honda CR-V, if you're looking for rear struts, you probably have been on Rock Auto or Amazon and you've been looking at the prices. And there's a ton of Chinese ones. There's PRT, there's FCS, there's Sensen. I mean, there's a bazillion different brand names for the Chinese struts. And this Monroe Quick Strut is priced very closely to all the Chinese struts. So this is maybe, I paid an extra $10 per strut compared to the Chinese ones. But for me, it's worth it having the brand name of Monroe. It's also worth it to see the quality here and to see how beefy this is. And to me, it's also worth it to see that it's made in the USA. All right, well, let's go ahead and put the new one on and we'll check our ride height and we'll see how things go from there. All right, guys, here's the finished product. This is with the Monroe Quick Struts installed in the back. And as you can see, it lifted the vehicle quite a bit. So now we're measuring at, let's see here. We're measuring at 32 and a half inches. 32 and a half inches. So it raised the back end. It raised the back end by about 1.25 inches. Let's do this side too. A little less here. So this side, 32.25. Let's check the other side again. No, it's the same on both sides. 32.25 on both sides. So there we go. That concludes this install. Yeah, you can definitely notice it. It increased the gap in the wheel well. Very noticeable. The whole rake of the vehicle has been changed. So now it's lifted up in the back, and then the front is still a little bit lower. Now over time, the rear springs will settle a little bit. So it'll probably settle about 1/4 inch, maybe 3/8 of an inch, but I still think I'm gonna have a solid 1 inch lift in the rear. That goes to show how bad the old struts were. So here are the old struts. That just goes to show how bad they were. Not only the struts, but the springs themselves were also starting to sag. So I'll over time I'll give you guys updates on how the quick struts work out from Monroe. But if you're interested in buying them, there's a link down below to where you can get them on Amazon. And leave me a comment if you got any questions. Thanks, guys. Bye.